Welcome everyone to the Meetup today. We are going to talk about web accessibility. And first of all, I will share you all welcome. Thank you to be here tonight. And I hope I will you will learn something today. It's my goal. So who is this guy speaking? So my name is Gérard Steenhoudt. I'm working here at Movify. I'm UX UI designer, and I'm also a mentor. So I'm dedicated to accessibility in Movify, and I'm also here to help some designer with design problem. I will say. For the moment, I'm working for the forum, public service forum, as UX and UI designer, and so we are working on accessibility for now at forum. What's the aim of this talk? Of course, is accessibility. Can everyone say accessibility? Okay, cool. How long it will last? I hope it will last 1 hour at least. But if it's much more longer, don't hesitate to throw me rotten tomatoes or something like that. And will there be beers? The true answer is, will there still be beers after the presentation? I hope so, because I need one beer after. Okay, so what we are going to see today, what's on the table? First of all, we are going to meet Ali. I don't know if you know Ali, who Ali is. We'll see that together. Secondly, I will explain you 4 principles of accessibility. Next to this, we will see how actually we can measure accessibility. A bit point about the law, because the law is important, and what is the law in Belgium actually, for the moment, sorry. And after that, this part is much more theoretical, okay? And after that, we are going to more practical parts, and we will ask this question: what should I improve? What should improve my accessibility? After that, we go deeply into design. I mean UX, UI, dev, the design team, to see what we can do on your today work to improve the accessibility. And I will let you go with some best practices and some resources and tools. So, who is ready to begin? Gail, thank you. So let's go. Let's go with hello to Ali. Can you say hello to Ali? Hello, Ali. Does anyone know what Ali mean? Accessibility. Yes. Ali mean accessibility is the international technical term for web accessibility, and you can use this hashtag on social media, for example, to see, to get information about accessibility, to get some more tips, some more news about accessibility. But do you know why it's written A11Y? Yeah, perfect, Aaron. So for the rest of the audience, accessibility, not Nutella, sorry. Accessibility is the first E of accessibility and the Y of accessibility, and between, in English, there is 11 letters, so it's much more easier to write LE with 11 inside that accessibility. I don't know if you already have tap accessibility on your screen, on your phone or laptop, but it's always 2C, 1S, 2S, 3E. I don't know. It's a mess. So maybe it's better to write it like this. Okay, and so like I said, you can easily find some information on Twitter, for example, or LinkedIn, and so on. Okay, but who is accessibility made for? That's a question for you. But maybe you heard that quote from your stakeholder that say, "Oh, accessibility is only for blind users." Of course not. But for who is accessibility made for? So Can you answer that question? Everyone, any user? Other question? Can you give a definition of accessibility? Yes? Okay, it's a good definition. So it's quite the same that I write here, but to be concise, accessibility is the ability to be used by everyone, including people with disabilities. But in this definition, there is two ways of thinking, I will say. First one, accessibility is for everyone who has a disability, but accessibility could also be for everyone and could help also people who don't have disabilities. First of all, accessibility is for everyone who has a disability. So, what type of disabilities can we encounter? What types of what type of disabilities people can have? Yeah, color blindness. Yeah. Yeah, problem with the hands. Okay. Yeah, maybe Parkinson. Yeah, some disease that. Yes, deaf people. Deaf, not deaf people. Yeah, okay, to be sure. Okay, but deaf, you see, also a problem of accessibility, but it's not the same work. Okay, yes, you're right. I put it here 4 types of disabilities that are mainly known, but first one is visual issues, like you said, could be motor or mobility issues, even in web context. Could be auditory issues, like you said, deaf people, and also seizures, like epileptic people of DHDA, like you said to. Yes, but yes, I know you want statistics, especially Mathieu. I read that from here. So yes, we can give you some statistics. So what say the statistics? Say that 50% or 15%, sorry, 50% of the world, of people in the world has a disability. That means an average of 1 billion people, maybe 1 out of 7 people in the world. So it's a huge amount of people. You have to take care about that. Secondly, accessibility could also benefit other people than only people with a disability. And in what type of situation could accessibility benefits other people who have no special disabilities? Yeah, you mean if your image doesn't load on websites, you could see an alternative text in place of? Okay, yeah, in that case, it could be useful. Yeah. Okay.
Certain parts in the accessibility metrics, like your metadata, your alt text, the searchability on the search methods.
Okay. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Okay. Sorry for the viewers on YouTube because maybe that doesn't hear the responses, but we'll see it. I put some example. All your examples were right. It's okay, but this is some examples. You forgot your glasses home. You cannot read the content on the website or mobile. You check your phone in a noisy place, in a sunny place, maybe. It's difficult to see what it's on the application. You cannot hear very well the song. You have a broken arm, so you can use your arm for 1 week or 2 weeks. Maybe you can use your finger, or you can use a hand, like Gérard said. You have shaky hands and some other disease that are maybe not so steady. Yeah. Yeah, this one we already said that, but you are a mother, you carry your child, you cannot use 2 hands, you have to use 1 hand, but your child is crying. It's a lot of example. You have cognitive issue, ADHD, epilepsy, autism, and of course all of us, when we grow older, we cannot see small characters and so on. Yeah, of course. Yeah, same example. If you have not enough contrast, you cannot see the content easily. Yeah. Here's another example. I don't know if you know what is closed caption. There are subtitles on videos. It's something that we all know. But imagine that you are in the metro and you want to see your favorite series on Netflix, and you just forgot your earphones, and you don't want to put the sound on the metro, so to not disturb other passengers, and you decide to see the video in mute mode. Thanks to closed caption, you can get information that you cannot see. So in this case, this theater scene, and the public is applauding, but you can't see the public applauding because the public is not on the movie. But thanks to closed caption, you can get the information, and this is very interesting for people who doesn't see, but could also be interesting in the case I just explained. So it's one type of benefits. Okay, so this was Ali, little introduction of accessibility. But what are the 4 principles of accessibility? Look at this now. Yo, rock and roll. So the first one is perceivable. So perceivable, you should think before working on a new project. You should think about some basic things like, is my website application ready for blind people, for deaf, low vision, color blindness people? Is the basic question that you can ask to you when you begin a new project. And also what that means is also providing text for people who doesn't see doesn't hear anything, or audio for people who cannot see the content. It's also provides something that the screen readers can easily read, and other accessibility technologies. So perceivable, does your product is perceivable or not? Secondly, operable. Operable means that, for example, some people cannot use a mouse, so you should think about working on an application website that can be accessible through a keyboard, at least a keyboard, because there is a lot of technologies around for people with disabilities, but this is a base. Also, what operable means here, it's all about the animation. When you put animation media on your website, on application, all animation media should be controllable. It means that if you have a carousel on your website, and if this carousel is automatic, you should provide buttons to stop it. If you use animation in the background of your website, you should put a way to stop it. So you must every time think about everything that moves, and everything that moves should be stopped, should be able to be stopped. Also provide second chances when you propose something to your users and they have to make a choice. perhaps it's the best way to propose alternative, or to propose to confirm the action, or to propose a cancellation option, and so on. Okay, the third one is understandable. So maybe it's for you. Maybe much more about all the text that you use on websites and applications, so on. So it's all of your text on website are clearly written. Sorry. So if is it clear or not when you write something? You must maybe be straight to the point when you write something. It's maybe complicated because you have to struggle with marketing. We want something much more funny, but keep in mind that you are working for the user, so it should be easy to understand. Use maybe not basic English, but simple words, maybe, or French, or yeah. Yeah, you're right. And what that means also, when you are working on a website and an app, always thinking about using consistency. Like in the menu, for example, if you use a menu on top menu of website, if you change a page, you have to find this menu at the same place, of course. Basic, but you have to think about the way that people will go through a forms. So think about the tabs. When you click on tabs, you pass from an input to another, but think about the flows. Be intelligent and propose a flow that is easy to use and logical, of course, and not so too complicated to understand. Sorry. And 4 is disappeared. Robust. Okay. Robust. What means robust? You should work on website and app and make sure that it could be used on every new browsers and operating system. It's not possible to be compliant to all the older version of operating system, of course, but basically all the new browsers should be compliant. Website should be compliant to all new browsers and operating systems. Sorry, and of course. Always use standards when you are coding. I don't know if there is any dev here, but developers, but always use standard coding conventions from the W3C. It's better to have a clean code because a lot of software that people with disabilities use will read your code and will go through your code. So if you have build that in a good way, in a good architecture, it's easy also to understand for these people. So this was the 4 principles. So perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. And these 4 principles, you will find these in what we are going to see now. In how can we measure accessibility. We will use maybe you surely know that, but the WCAG guidelines. So, is anyone can give me the definition of WCAG? Little test. Yes, what? Close. It's Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. So these guidelines has been released by the W3C. These are recommendations to allow you to work on your website or application or whatever to be as accessible as you can. But and the four principle, sorry, the 4 principles that I just saw are integrated in WCAG. In WCAG, you will find 4 sections, and the 4 sections are these, the 4 that you just saw that before. And WCAG help you to go through all your your products and see if it's accessible or not, and what you have to do to fix that. And there is 3 levels in WCAG. There's level E, level EE, and level triple E. So you know that for now to be accessible, like the European Commission means to be accessible, you have to be compliant to the 2 first levels, so level E and level EE. Level triple E is very complicated to go through because it's high level recommendations. And WCAG look like this. So now it is, no? Not very funny to read. And I don't know if you see that, but you see that here, but it's written perceivable. And after that, you will see the 4 other points you just saw. And maybe it's not the first time that you see the WCAG, but if it's the first time, basically it gives you some advices, some cases, depending on the recommendation you click on it, and it should help you to fix your issues, but it's not very easy to use by yourself. There is some softwares who can help you, or plugins and so on. I will share some with you after the presentation. Okay, there is 2, I will say 2 companies, but 2 services who can help you in your process of accessibility. The first one I want to show you is AnySurfer. Maybe you know that. AnySurfer and Belgian Web Accessibility. The first one, AnySurfer, is the Belgian reference for accessibility and for all that concern accessibility. So you can find a lot of articles, a lot of recommendations, and they also propose some audits for your product. And you can have a stamp with AnySurfer on your website, and it's so cool, I have a stamp AnySurfer. But keep in mind that accessibility is still it evolves still since I don't know, maybe I don't know, since many years, but you have to take you have to keep in mind that you need to constantly read what are the evolution of accessibility. And for that, there is also Belgian Web Accessibility. Basically, is everything about what say the government in Belgium about accessibility. It's important to know where we are in terms of law, and Belgian accessibility can help you with that information. So we are talking about the law, so maybe we should see what the laws say, especially in Belgium. And for that, we will need to travel in time. So I don't know if you're ready to travel in time, but it's maybe the time to take the car and go try to take the time to see what accessibility says. Okay? Just like the music, because I love it. Don't be afraid of the copyright. Okay, so begin with the present time. So present time, we are 29th of June. What the law say in Belgium about accessibility? Actually, for now, sorry, for now, in Belgium, what say the law? For now, all public services has to be compliant to accessibility to WCAG guidelines. That means since 2020 for the websites and 2021 for the application. And there has to be compliant to level E and level EE, plus they have to provide an accessibility declaration. Accessibility declaration is somewhere on the website. You have to declare, okay, we are not accessible for these, and these. We are accessible for these, and you and we we are working on these components and these pages to be accessible at least in the end of the year, something like this. And you should provide it, and it should be accessible for everyone to know where you are in terms of accessibility. Okay, let's go back in the past. What happened the 17th of April 2019? Does anyone know? Oh yeah. Wow. Yes, you're right. So 2019, the European Union has released the European Accessibility Act. And in this European Accessibility Act, there's a lot of things. It's a text of law. It's very, very long to read. But if I resume, there's one important point. And what is inside this act? Two important things. First one is all the services that we should be accessible, and all the products we should be accessible. And for example, what type of services is phone services, banking services, e-commerce website for everything about the transport, petrol, plane, etc. Everything about e-books, also everything about audiovisual, video, streaming, and so on. Sorry, and of course also the emergency number of the European Union. And what type of product are concerned? Computers, of course, operating systems, smartphone, communication device, TV equipment, ATM, ticketing machine, e-readers, and so on. So a lot of things. If you are working in that type of services, that means that it's a lot of works to do, not only on websites but also on like it's written ATM, e-ticketing machine, and so on. Okay, so we are going to the future in 2025, and what will happen in 2025? It's simple. If you are one of these services, you should be compliant to the European Accessibility Act. So everything you just saw in the list, you should achieve that for 2025. And you should be compliant again to the WCAG level E, level EE. And yeah, it's a huge amount of work. But for now, you will say, okay, but there is any restriction about that? For now, there is not in Belgium. Sorry. Even if you are not accessible, there is no fine to pay. There is no restriction for the moment for public services. I mean, because when the European Union has released this act, since that day, every countries in Europe can release their own law about accessibility. So at this time, we cannot say Belgium will never be restrictive about that, but it could release a law during this year or the year after, and decide that all that services, if they are not compliant to the accessibility, they should pay a fine, or maybe they should encounter some restriction. So for now, you are safe, but maybe not for too long. Okay, so maybe you have a time travel jet lag. Maybe you should drink a beer or so on, I don't know. But if you want to, we can continue. Are you ready to continue? Yeah, ooh. Jet lag. So, why should you improve your accessibility? I ask you the question. Both. I mean, if you are public service or private company, you can ask the question, for you, why you should improve your accessibility. Mm-hmm. If you have money to spend, yeah, okay.
feature just because they don't cater to their
Mhm. Okay.
it's very pragmatic.
Yes, could be.
People
Yeah. Yeah.
therefore they
Yeah, of course. You're right. I put some points here, but there is a lot. But for me, even if you are not concerned by the Accessibility Act, you should be accessible. Why? First of all, because of these 50% we just saw before. So 50% of the people in the world have a disability. But for me, it's also a matter of reputation. If you are working on accessibility, that means that you take care of your customers. That's a good point for reputation. It's also a step closer to inclusivity. Inclusivity is a huge topic for the moment, and it's good that companies take care of all of their customers. So accessibility, it's a part of inclusivity. So it's the same topics for me. And at least I really think that improve your accessibility will improve your usability, because thinking about accessibility force you to think more like how the user will interact with your interface, and so you maybe will be able to see much more behavior that you didn't see before, and so it works good, and it's very distinct in terms of usability. So think about that. Accessibility can work with usability. So we're going through the design part. I will present you some of good tips for designers and UX designers, even developers. Good thing to think about when you are starting a project. There are basics. Some of them you know that, I'm sure, but it's always interesting to keep in mind. So, accessibility by design. Maybe you heard that before in your company, but sometimes you heard someone that say, all I need is using automated tools to make my web project accessible. There are automated tools for that. Maybe they are giving some good results. You have to test that. But basically, you should take care of that. You should go deep in accessibility and verify and make audits by yourself at the first time to see where are the problems. But let's begin with basics. So basics, use high contrast color. Maybe the well-known part of accessibility, use contrast that provides a good comprehension of your interface and so on. Provide image description, we talked about that before, and I will add when it's meaningful and it's important, because you don't need to put an alternative text for every images, only images that give some more information. Otherwise, the automatically listener, I don't remember the name. The software that read the content for people who doesn't see will read everything and every icons of website, even if it's not meaningful. An example is that one. Maybe you saw that before. When you read a blog, sometimes there is something that tell you, okay, it's 1 minute reading time. But for people who cannot read reading time, because it's not written. It's only an icon for that, and you suppose that, okay, for people who can see, okay, that means reading time. But for that icon, you should provide an alternative text and not a timer icon. I mean something relevant like reading time, for example. Reading time, so the software will read reading time 1 minute. So think about that when you are using icons and meaningful images. Use responsive layouts and don't restrict to layouts portrait or landscape, even if you are developing an application. Every application should be able to, should work in landscape view also. So you should be able to use your bank application on portrait or landscape mode. And it's a double E level, so you should apply to this, at least in 2025. And of course, make all functions available through the keyboard, because a lot of software that people with disabilities use are pretty based on the work of a keyboard, of maybe use often a keyboard to make some shortcuts and so on. That's for the basics. And what for navigation? Use consistent navigation. I already said that before, so it's just a repeat, but don't change the menu when you change a page. It's basic, and don't change the order of the menu. Provide more than one way to locate a page. So it's double E recommendation. So for example, if you can access your content by using the menu and the search bar, it's okay. But you cannot reach a content in an only way. That one is one of my favorites. Provide a way to bypass repeating content. Use what we call a skip link. What's skip link? Skip link is something, it's much like a menu that can appear on your website when you click on tabs on the first time. So when you arrive on a website, you click on tab. Habitually, you go through all the link on the menu, and you click a tab, and so on until you are arriving to the content and read the content. But you should provide something to bypass that, because otherwise people who are using keyboard will every time have to click on tab to pass all the content of the menu to go to the main content. And if they click on a link and go to another page, they have to click on tab again and passing all the website to all the menu and so on and so on and so on. It's very time consuming. It's not clear enough. So we provide a skip link, and skip link is a menu that appear only on tabulation. So the first tab you see a menu, and this menu have maybe 3 entries, and these 3 entries could be header, main content, footer, for example. And so the people can easily access directly the content and not passing all the menu and that they just see before. Visual. What about visual? Ensure that focus indicator is visible. So when you use focus, for example, in forms or in buttons, focus need to be visible enough. So we cannot use a focus without seeing there is a focus. Don't only use color to provide information. This one is very important also, because people who don't see the difference between colors cannot see which one is selected in this example. But I have another example here. If you are looking to this agenda, you will see a lot of colors. Okay, colors mean something. There is a legend beside. But what's the problem for people who cannot see the colors? Maybe for colorblind people, if I put that image in black and white, maybe we should see what's the problem. If you fix your attention to the 9th of November to the 13th, there is 5 different colors, okay? But if I pass it in black and white, it became difficult to see the difference between some of them. So which one can see the difference between the 9th and the 13th? No, very difficult. So maybe you should provide something more to show that you have selected something, or that you want to mention something. You can use maybe an icon. I don't know. You can change the shape to not using only your colors. I don't know, but you have to find another way to pass the information. always use label elements and give instruction, especially in forms. And something I learned recently when I work in forum, because I did the design system and I did some inputs, and for some reason, some inputs I remove the label because it's not very important, because I can add the label in the code after that, so the software can read anyway the the label, so don't need that. I only place a placeholder in the input, so maybe to say to people, okay, enter your name here. But the problem is that with that is that people like you and me, we don't have major disability. We could go to this form and just decide, okay, I should enter my name. Okay, I enter my name. But for some reason, maybe we are distracted, and you start typing something, and you say, okay, what I have to enter here? I don't remember, and you cannot see it anymore because it's a placeholder, and the placeholder disappears. So think about labels. Give instruction also when you once people add the phone number or credit card number, you should give an example of that. And first of all, you should give an example that it's not real. And what the accessibility say is that when you when the people don't use the correct way of writing, there is an error on the formulaire, and in the error information you should give a real example. Not a real phone number, but a real number, suite of numbers, so the people know exactly what is expecting for the form. Don't use flashing lights. That's obvious, but for people who are suffering for epileptics and so on. What about the structure? Like I said before, define information structure, relationship markup. So basically it means that even if you are a UX designer, you have to think about the structure, the logical structure of website. Use H1, H2, H3, and not changing the order, but also for developer, you have to indicate what is the navigation, what is the main content, what is sidebar, and so on and so on. So for the readers, it's much more easier to parse the content. Make an intuitive order focusable and define in markup. So like I said before, I don't put any example for that, but just use a logical flow for forms. Like I said before, identify errors. So be precise when you are referring an error. So give an example, and so it's easy to understand how can I fix the error. And also provide consistent UI components. If you are using a design system, it's much more easier to do, but think about, okay, that button is for that action. I should always use that button for that action in my website, my application. Okay, last one, interaction. Provide conversational interaction, because there is people that cannot shake the phone, for example, or cannot do some precise gesture. So avoid them, or at least provide another way to achieve the goal. Yeah, I just said that before, but provide a way to stop or to pause some animation, like automatic carousel, like maybe animated GIF, I don't know, or video on backgrounds. People need to have the possibility to stop it. Use single point gesture, because again, there is some people who doesn't have hand. Some people can have a hand, but also people cannot use easily their finger or their hand. So be simple with the gesture. So always use one hand to do something and not two. And yes, just end it with the design mode. But I can give you some best practice. I don't know what time is it. Yeah, you're on the wall. So what are, I don't know if you have any question about that design part, but I think it's something that you already know for some of the example, I suppose. But I can give you some best practices. And what I mean by best practices is what we should think about before starting a new project. What we should take in mind about accessibility when you start a new project. It can be as a UI designer, UX designer, developer, PO, and so on. It can be useful for everyone, I think. First advice I want to share to you is create the accessible application or website from the start. Yes. So at the beginning, think about accessibility, because it's very hard to make a website or application accessibility after the release. It's much work. So think about that before. Think of the web application as accessible for all disabilities simultaneously without compartmentation. Don't think about, okay, accessibility, I know it's for blind people, I just will make some amendments to change something about the contrast, so it will resolve some of the problem, and I will do the rest when I have the time. So think about all accessibility disabilities are important. There's no one more important than another, and you should work on this in a one package. Add accessibility as an acceptance criteria, like if you are an analyst or a PO, maybe you make some user stories, you can put that point from the start in the user stories. As people who is blind have to be able to do this. So when it's written in the documentation, it's maybe easier to implement that and to measure the cost, etc. for the project. Incorporate accessibility consideration in your personas, user archetype stories. Like the point 3, maybe you should create a persona about that if you see that a lot of your customers have disabilities. It could be useful to maybe create a persona for that type of people, to be sure that they are concerned in the future project that you release. Like I said, use web standards, accurate headings, semantic elements, and roles. It's much more for developers, but it's important. Yes, design logical focused behavior. I don't talk about that before, but I don't know the term in English, but in French we talk about retour de focus. When you are on a website and you have the focus on a button, that button open a modal or a pop-up or something like that, you should ensure that your focus is on the pop-up that just opened, and not that the focus is still in the background, because it may cause problem for people who use software for accessibility. They cannot read the content of the modal. So as UX, you need to give that information to the dev. So it's important to think about what are going to go my focus after an action. If I click on something, where I go after? When I return back to the precedent action, where I put the focus? The focus means also that the readers will read the focus. So what is meaningful for people with disabilities, but also what's meaningful for everybody. 7, check that each interface component can be activated by mouse and keyboard. So the two are important. Yeah, the question is there enough contrast? But just said it before, you know that. Yes, provide text transcription, very hard to say that. Provide text transcription for audio and video media, of course, and also audio description for videos. Test it, of course. You should test it. With real users with disabilities, it's better, but it's very hard to find a lot of people who are with disabilities. You can also use some software for that. It's not a bad idea, but at least you should maybe hire an expert in accessibility to just double check that you have taken taken just have taken into consideration, sorry, everything in the WCAG. Some tools and resources if you want to. This one is a bookmarklet that you can use on browsers and indicates you what's wrong with your website. Another one is the one for the browser. It works the same way, but this one can give you a report and just let you know, okay, from this point of WCAG, you are not compliant, and so on. This one is very useful. It's just a color contrast checker, but you can use that everywhere on your screen. So even if you are using your prototyping software or website, you can easily check the contrast, and it's free. And you can see under if it passed different step of WCAG. This one is well known. Stark is a plugin that you can use in your prototype softwares. Yes? Okay.
Browser-wise, but also program-wise.
Okay, so the same way that the one before. Okay, I don't know that, but good point. So Stark also provides an online mode, I would say, plugin that you can use on your browser. And of course, Stark can also, if you pay for that, it can also propose you some other colors to fit the recommendation if your color doesn't pass the accessibility ratio. Otherwise, if you don't want to pay, you can use that one. It will also provide you the best colors closer to the one you use to be accessible. So, interesting. Sorry, I just passed this. This one is also very interesting. If you are using a design system, if you have if you receive from your client the branding colors, you can put all that color in that website, and it will give you all the combinations and say to you, okay, this one pass on this color, this one does not passing on this color. It's interesting to just make some correction of something like that. And this one is the one where I screenshot some of the examples I just presented you before. It's very interesting to read. There is a lot of content there. We can also have some good advice about some point that you just saw before. And this one, WCAG checklist. The checklist is much more readable than the official WCAG, so it's also interesting. And this one also much more UI friendly, I will say, but not sure that it's very it's as clearer than the other, but maybe you should try. And at least if you have to, because maybe you should work on accessibility as soon as possible, you have to deliver maybe a declaration of accessibility, and there is a generator for that, so it's easy to make it with that template. Okay, and to finish, because I'm finished, I just let you read this quote. I really like this from Jacob Nielsen. A strict focus on accessibility as core card item doesn't help users with disabilities. To help this user accomplish critical tasks, you must adopt a usability perspective. Don't avoid usability when you are working on accessibility. It's very important. And it's finished. Thank you, everybody. I don't know if there's any more questions I could try to answer. Yeah. Yes, because like I said, I'm currently working in Forums. It's a public service, so we should, since 2020, be accessible. but it's not the case. Just reveal that. But we are working on the accessibility for now, and we are, like I said before, I just made the design system, and now with all I know with accessibility at this time, I begin to fix some things that are not accessible for the moment. I have one of my colleagues at Forum that is now specialized in accessibility, so they make audits on internal to see what's wrong at the Forum for the moment, and also because there is an audit that is arriving very soon, so the stakeholders are okay. No, you have to work on accessibility. It's 2 years that we call them. Okay, we have to work on accessibility, and it's not that they wake up, of course, because. But it's not easy to convince the stakeholder about how to say that, yeah, about the way that you have to work on accessibility, because they don't understand the pre-value. I don't know how to say that, but they only see money and time, and it's very difficult to evangelize the stakeholders. But we should do, and maybe adopt another way of talking with them, with maybe talking about the reputation, like you said before, just because there are a lot of customers. We didn't know all your customers. Maybe you have statistics, but statistic doesn't give you information about the people who are using that software for disabilities. I think that it's not legal to put something on a website to see if someone use screen readers, for example. So you cannot easily say that, yeah, we have no problem with accessibility because you have no people with disabilities. Yeah.
Frequently did when clients said like, we don't want to work on accessibility because we don't have people with disability using our tool, which still happens a lot. And then I talk like mostly like, and what about your SEO and so on and so on, because as accessibility is connected with the SEO and all the other stuff. So, and then they say, oh, SEO, yeah, your searchability connected to your accessibility, and then they are like, yeah, but we want to be number one on Google. And that's how often happens that they start using accessibility because of the usability and the searchability.
Yeah, and they always think about people who are blind or have mobility issues, but don't think about everyone that can encounter a temporary disability. Other question, maybe? No? No? Okay, it's no problem. Huh? Ah, yes.
I'm not a designer, I'm a developer, so I think coding skills.
You mean as a designer, for example?
More as a developer. For example, if you don't have a designer,
Yeah.
how to design the user experience more
There are lots of ways to do that, but if you know a little about the WCAG, that indicates you some major point that you have to take in mind. And after that, with experience, you can provide some design that respect the accessibility guidelines. But it's interesting to have a developer also, because I think that accessibility should be how I can say that, it should be a center point for all the team, not only UI, UX, UX writer, developer, and so on. I think that you should work as a team in accessibility, because you have to discuss a lot, because UX have to deliver some words, some alternative text for the developers. they have to double check the development after to see if everything is correct. The developer have to test it with screen readers to be sure that it works, and UI have to check if all the contrasts are okay, all the colors are okay, all the motion are okay, as can I stop animation and so on. But I know the best practice for that, but it's thanks to the experience. When you are working, you can see what's wrong and fix that for the project. Okay, last chance. After that, we take a beer. Okay, so thank you very much, and see you after for a drink. Bon, c'est cool.